At the beginning, economics, which was born 2,300 years ago in Greece, Aristotle, was linked directly to ethics. And in fact, economics was born out of from the bone of ethics. And so economics and ethics were like the two sides of the same coin. And that is easy to understand the implication.
The word economy is derived from the word oikos, which is one of the names of the living earth, the Greek name, and a home. And oikos basically then means the home as biological, ecological material is our living reality. And taking care of the home is what economy is supposed to be. The art of living, Aristotle called it. And he differentiated between the art of living as economia, and he named money-making as chromatistics. It is not the economy.
But when we reached the 18th century, in England, the big division or separation was established. Namely, economics is something, ethics is something else.
2.5 centuries ago, a person who was working on ethics, Adam Smith, thought that if every one of us followed our own interests, our own personal interests, then everything would fall into place, and that we would have the best way of functioning in society.
Economics became an autonomous discipline. Autonomous from where? From both politics, from both ethics, and etc. And so it started that process, which is still today enduring, even though at a lower degree. But until, let's say, 20 years ago, for instance, all 99% of the academicians all over the world, Switzerland included, they believed in the thesis of the great separation, that economics has nothing to do with ethical consideration. Common people started believing that economics was a rather, let's say, dry science, unable to understand the nature of the problem of people.
It's been very interesting to see in the last, perhaps 15, 20 years, how a number of very serious professional economists have begun to challenge that old and rather tired idea that the only thing that ought to be interesting about economics is profit. And I used to hear from a lot of students in university studying economics how strange they found it that they were expected to be mathematicians before everything else.
I think the basic problem that we have in capitalism is that it's reduced human beings to producers and consumers of things that can be treated like atoms in a gas. We can even just use mathematical language to describe what's going on. Now, sometimes it's useful to use mathematics. Engineers use mathematics. It's a useful language. But if everything is reduced down to that language, that's when we have the problem. And I remember my friends who are professors of economics in the United States would say, in a liberal arts course, everybody does Economics 101. In the first class of Economics 101, the professor says, now there's normative economics and there's positive economics. Now, normative economics is all about why we have economics, what we're trying to do. We're not going to talk about that in this course. We're just going to talk about positive economics, all the techniques, all the ways in which we measure things and that. Okay, this is important, but if we don't ever talk about what the thing is for, why are we doing this? You know, we end up with a senseless machine. And I think that's what people recognize. This thing doesn't have any sense. What's it for?
In the recent times, people say, we have to go to reconnect what has been separated. That is the idea of integral economics. Integral means to integrate something which has been or has been separated by differently. Because most people, not only academics, but even normal people or entrepreneurs, they feel the necessity of realizing such a reunification. That is my hope and at the same time my wish.
Well, the word integral means whole, right? It means complete in a sense, but it also means integrity. So it's a very nice word that combines the integrity and the wholeness. And I don't think you can achieve a whole economy if there is not a high level of integrity in your practice. So it starts with you as an individual. I mean, you cannot change the system in which you operate if you're not true to your own values. So integral economics is probably a journey, right? So I encourage each one of your students, yourself and myself, to work humbly on this path of integrity.